Okay, so we have a new episode of Legends and Leaders, and it's great to have Rick here, somebody who's been a pioneer in the pawn industry with his own shop and the Pawn Star Show, and just really trying to, showcase to the world what's possible and what really goes inside this fascinating industry. So appreciate you coming here, Rick.
No problem.
Great. So I'd love to just start with when you were a kid, did you think that you would go into the pawn business? Like, how did this passion kind of start in the beginning?
No, I grew up buying and selling stuff. I've always loved history. I was a really sick kid, so I was at home, when you can't walk for a week or two, and it's early 70s where there's one TV and there's three channels, and you only get cartoons on Saturday. There's not a lot of television to watch, so I fell in love with reading books, and then, I love buying, just had a passion for buying and selling stuff and like antiques and things like that. And I finally figured out a way to get a pawn license.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So you had a good amount of time on your hands, kind of figured out, what you wanted to do, through the education. And then why did you pick like the Vegas area? Why did that make sense?
Well, no, so my parents went. They were in real estate, 1981. When interest rates were 20%. They went broke in San Diego, so we packed up. 16 years old, moved to Vegas in '81, and my dad opened up a little coin shop, and I worked with him, and I did other things, and like I said, just buying and selling stuff, and then uh, but where all the money was at was in a pawn shop.
Hmm.
So and everyone told me I can't get a pawn license. So as a cocky 22-year-old, well, why not? Well, you got to wait. They telling me you got to wait till someone dies before you get a pawn shop, and then you got to buy it like off the family or something like that, and they're $1 million. And I'm going like, well, that's crazy. Like I said, super cocky 22-year-old. So I got out of city business license. I want a pawn license. They said no, and I asked them why. So they showed me the city ordinance from 1955. This is when only 25,000 people lived in Las Vegas. And the city ordinance read that they would issue one more pawn license when the city population got to a quarter of a million.
Okay.
And, I thought, it's got to be close. So I started calling the city statistician like once a week, every 2 weeks, something like that. And in April of '88, he says, yeah, we believe it's a quarter of a million now.
Huh.
So as a cocky 23-year-old, I went down to city business license, and they said no, but I got a lawyer, and eventually the judge said you were the first one there. So I got the $1 million license for $50.
Wow. And what's the process like? It's a complicated process to even get a license in the beginning. Like, what do you have to go through, like legal wise?
Okay. It just depends on where you're at around the country. So, some cities you go down and pay the city $50, here's your pawn license. In Las Vegas, it's the background can check. Uh, the background investigation of you goes all the way back. They want to know what kindergarten you went to. They want to know every address you've ever lived at. They want to know every bank account you've ever had. It's pretty crazy. It was a foot tall stack of paper when we finally turned it in for the background check.
Wow. Wow. And like from, when you were this young, right, 22, 23-year old, did you have this aspiration, Rick, to build this big pawn business and to do a show? Were you kind of even thinking about things like that as of the time, or you just, I need to make
No,
money?
I wanted to build the business and everything like that, but you know, uh, it was just doing it by the seat of my pants, whatever book I could read. Because remember, back then there was no internet,
Mhm.
uh, and I only finished the ninth grade. I got kicked out of school in the 10th grade for having epilepsy. That
Huh.
actually used to happen back then. Uh, and I was just too sick. I couldn't finish class. I kept on failing because I had too many absences. So I had to learn the whole business. There was an old pawnbroker that really helped me out, taught me a lot. Had to figure out how to do book work by myself, had to figure out how to do marketing and everything like that. And most people don't realize this, but most pawn shops in the United States are either owned by Cash America uh, or Easy Corp. I think Cash America has 2,000 pawn shops.
Mhm.
Um, I quickly realized you can't go head to head with Walmart, so I had to be Tiffany's,
Mhm.
and that's basically how I ran everything. Like I literally tell my employees that you know, because you've seen like the CD pawn shops and everything like that. They look terrible. I did not want my place looking like that. I always told my employees, if the Queen of England walks in here, she would be proud to use our bathrooms. You know, and over the years, I mean, I got some really interesting stuff. I got some Super Bowl rings. I got, you know, some, you know, I got Picasso's on the wall and everything like that. That's the stuff I never really took off the walls because I didn't want to sell it because people would wander in, and I'm on the Strip, but like in you know, the weird part of it where, you know, doesn't get a lot of tourists, but I would get tourists in, and they would see like this crazy pawn shop on Las Vegas Boulevard that's got Super Bowl rings and Picasso's and all this other weird stuff. So I mean, well, that's one of the ways I built a business. People would come in just to see the weird stuff in the shop, you know, and then they would tell their friends, and then occasionally get a news story out of it, and the news stories were always good for business. I mean, if you have a business, if you get on the news and it's a positive thing, it's 10 times better than an ad because it's not you saying you're a great business. You got an independent third party saying you're a great business. And that makes a big difference. You know, like I put like some of my Super Bowl rings on eBay right before the Super Bowl. I'd have a really high reserve because I really didn't want to sell them. But
marketing.
Yeah. The second, you know, Super Bowl, you know, genuine player worn Super Bowl rings ended up on eBay. You know, someone's going like, you end up getting a call from a newspaper, or maybe a TV show or something like that, or a news organization, and they do a little story on you. And you know, I had a few of those, you know, because the news stories they get, you know, they get sent around. So like next thing you know, all over the country, there's news articles about this weird pawn shop in Vegas with Picasso's on the wall and Super Bowl ring. Every time I did that, it was great for business. So like 18 years ago, I'm thinking like, you know, if I get one of these reality shows and get a season or two, it'll be really good for business. So I tried to pitch the show for 4 years, just kept on hearing no one wants to watch a show about 4 fat guys in a pawn shop. And slowly figured out Hollywood on how to get people. See, this is the way I eventually found out everyone in Hollywood, they don't want you unless someone else wants you. So when you talk to production companies, just lie to them and tell them other people want you. And the next thing you know, everyone wanted me. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So Left Field Pictures did a sizzle reel in late November, early December 2008. I remember my dad telling him to come in on Saturday. Okay, I got this production company coming in and do a sizzle. I mean, this is like probably our 17th sizzle we've done. You know, back in the day, you know, production companies, when they pitch up to a network, it's a DVD.
Right.
And, you know, there's 9 layers of BS you have to go through to get on television. So the guys from Left Field Picture, and they were a very small production company at the time. They're over at History Channel. They put the DVD in, you know, one of the lower echelon guys' DVD players, and the DVD player broke.
Oh my gosh!
So they had to literally had to take a screwdriver to get it out.
Oh my!
And they started walking around the halls of A&E Networks, asking if anyone had a DVD player they could use. So the vice president of the network says, "Yeah, you can use mine." And they played the little sizzle reel. He goes, "I like it. Order a pilot."
What a story!
Yeah, and then they liked the pilot. They ordered 12 episodes, and I was the highest rated premiere in the history of History Channel. And I think the reason why is back in the day when you had the cable guide, they were going through the cable guide and thought it said something besides Pawn Stars. And I mean, the ratings just grew every week, and within a year, we're the #1 show on cable.
I mean, it just your whole business probably completely transformed after that, right? Like, what, like just it just got, yeah.
I mean, I've been in business for 35 years with that pawn shop, and the thing is, it's the way business works: evolve or die.
Right.
Okay. I mean, your podcast, everything you're doing right now, will be completely different 5 years from now, and you know,
right.
Unrecognizable 10 years from now. I mean, so I mean, I've always done that. I've always, you know, tried to, you know, just evolve what, you know, what's, and so when I got the TV show, I mean, first couple months it was like, yeah, and then all of a sudden I took a couple weeks off during Christmas and come back, and there's the fire department there and a line down the street, and saying we have to do something about crowd control. You have too many people in the building, and
Oh my.
I started getting 1,000 people a day. Then it went to 2,000. I mean, our biggest day was over 7,000 people.
Wow.
Right now we average right around 1,500, 2,000 people a day,
Huh.
and that's getting better because I'm finally getting like the European, South American, and Asian tourists back into Vegas after COVID. And no, I mean, evolve the business. I mean, my pawn business is not nearly as big as it used to be because no one wants to wait in line to walk into a pawn shop. But we still do a lot of pawns, but not nearly what we used to. And it's a retail store. I mean, like I sell lots of T-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, it's like I said, business is just find a hole in the market, bill it. Try and come up with a gimmick or anything like that. You have to. You can have the greatest widget in the world, and if no one knows about you, no one's going to buy it.
Yeah, but you always believed the show would be a hit from the beginning. Like that's why you persisted for a couple
not
of
at
years.
all.
No. You just
I
thought,
I threw a big party for when they had their premiere on History Channel.
yeah.
And I walked outside, and my son Corey walked out and said, "Dad, what's wrong?" I go, like, this is the worst thing ever. No one's ever going to watch this.
Oh my.
Yeah, and to this day, I can't watch myself.
Really?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'll just like, I'll just start tearing myself apart the second I see a cut. So I can't. I don't even watch the cuts anymore or anything like that.
Oh, how does the negotiation process go now? Like, is that all? That's all live. That happens right there. Like, and you kind of thought through like what you want to pay for the item before.
Here's the easiest thing to remember when you're negotiating: be willing to walk away.
Right.
Deal's not right. Deal's not right. See ya.
Yeah. Well, there was one deal I saw recently. There was $5,000 difference on an item, and like that's it could have been just worth it for the 5,000. You weren't gonna. You were like just gonna leave. So you kind of have your threshold in mind beforehand.
Well, no, yeah, it's okay. I have a weird business. Okay, so like, if I buy a gold coin that's just bullion,
yeah,
I have no problem making 1%.
Right.
Because literally the second I buy it, I pick up the phone and sold. It's that quick of a transaction. I mean, if it's a 1 ounce round of gold, I mean, it sells that quick. But some things I buy, I'm like, okay, but stuff like this usually takes 2-3 months to sell. That goes into thinking. If it's a piece of artwork, it can take years. So like that goes into all the thinking, and I have to use the weird Rick logic, But it's all about how fast it'll sell.
Right. How did you acquire? How did the Super Bowl ring of the Patriots ring? How did that happen? Like, how did that come into your possession there?
I mean, I've had hundreds of Super Bowl rings. Like that Patriots ring, the player pawned it.
Yeah.
Simple it's one of the sad things with sports. I mean, these guys, you get people who literally grew up without money, without parents teaching you about money, and you've seen it happen a million times. They get that first paycheck and they start spending money like crazy, and then someone goes like, "Hey, dude, there's this thing called the IRS."
Yeah.
I mean, I have a really good friend. I think he's like 73 now, and he's got the world's greatest story. He was drafted to the Broncos in 1973, and he got a $40,000 signing bonus, which was a big deal back then.
Right.
So what'd you do with the money? He goes like, "I bought a fur coat and a van."
Oh man.
No, I mean, a lot of just like everything in the world. I mean, it's just like lottery winners. Like half of them declare bankruptcy in a couple of years. It's money management. I mean, I don't live in I do very well. I don't live in a crazy house. I don't drive a Rolls Royce. I drive a Jeep Wrangler around most of the time. I do have this addiction to like old cars, though. I will admit to that. A lot of
Right. How do you determine, Rick, like what's an item that you want to pawn? Like, is it just through the appraisal of like, hey, we can get this because if we buy this now, we can sell it and flip
what
it?
you can get out of it. I mean, it's a simple
as that.
process. Okay, and business is. I mean, young people. I mean, young people. When business is a pretty simple thing, it's a kind of a grind. When I speak at colleges and high schools and everything like that, and, kids will I never tell a kid to follow his dreams. Never, never, never. Your passions and your dreams, make that a hobby. Go find a job that can make real money. No, I mean, I'm just serious about that. I've had friends open bars and they go broke. My bar makes money, but then again, I'm a draw, so I bartend on Friday and Saturday nights when I can. Wednesday night is open mic night. I have karaoke night. I have all those goofy, stupid things that, aren't really cool, but people come there for it, and therefore it makes money. It's business. I mean, you have, like I said, if you own a bar, figure out a way to get people in there every night.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. So you basically you kind of consider, I think, at one point doing a run for governor in Nevada, and then also you're kind of looking at something in the Senate. Are you still thinking about kind of running for office? Is that on your mind?
Maybe in a couple of years. I've not determined anything like that. It's just I got a lot of businesses now and everything. I'm finally recovering. I mean, COVID was brutal.
Yeah.
I can tell you in like April of 2020, I had a $325,000 payroll and $20,000 in sales. That doesn't include all the other expenses. Just imagine how brutal it was for the next year.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah. So I put but eventually everyone, everybody has asked me to do it. And I don't know. I think it might be fun for a while. If they can handle someone who just really can do common sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, government is just ran so bad. I mean, okay. And then all the other thing about getting into politics. Here's my favorite political joke. Where did the word politics come from? Greek poly meaning many, and tix meaning blood sucking. If you think about it, this is how bad government is. Okay, the Bureau of Labor Statistics has like 1,000 people sitting around doing phone surveys to landlines to do the unemployment numbers.
Huh.
The government has people with clipboards walking into grocery stores to get prices for inflation, where you just jump on the internet, you figure it out in 5 minutes.
Right.
And ADP, the payroll company,
yeah,
they come out with their own unemployment number once a month, right before the government does. It's always the exact same number, and they use 2 people.
Yeah. Now, there's a lot of ancient stuff that goes on that doesn't make sense. Like, even also our systems, like a lot of these government websites, they're so old. Like, you look at them like this was made when the internet started.
Well, no, that's just it. It's government. There's no competition. They'll do just a horrific, terrible job, and they'll sit around and pat each other on the back. We did a great job. There's no competition that's going to put them out of business.
Right. Well, other countries, it's the competition.
Morning, and it was just like, you can't be serious.
Mm-hmm.
It was. I figured out the information in a different way because it's impossible.
Mm-hmm. Right. So what do you think are kind of like what do you kind of want to do next? Like, you've accomplished a lot of things. You got the show, you got the shop, you got a bunch of different businesses, maybe this kind of government kind of or run over here, but are there some things you're kind of thinking about doing next?
Yeah, me, I'm we're like the early beginnings. We're starting Rick U. It's going to be a nonprofit.
Okay.
And tons of educational videos. It's most kids, they sit through a history class in elementary school, junior high, high school, and they want to stick a fork in their ear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but if you watch my TV show, you like learning history from me because people love to learn. They just like to learn from their uncle while they're laughing and drinking a beer, as opposed to a professor looking down at you like, stupid little child. I mean, and that's basically the way it is. I mean, and I just have this knack for making history relatable. It was a while ago, I was doing an episode on like this. In the 1890s, personal printing presses were the rage. I mean, suddenly everybody could print their own little newsletter and everything like that. And, most young people look at it and go, yeah. But then you go like, but this was the internet. This was literally, you could now, get your message out to the masses. You could print stuff up. You could put it on, you could put it on telephone poles on the side of buildings and everything. You could put your message out there, and they go, oh, okay, now it's cool.
Yeah, agreed. Well, look, Rick, I appreciate you coming on. That's all the questions that I had, and I think you have an amazing story of what you've accomplished so far. It's really incredible, and I'm excited for what you'll do next. And really keep it up. It's great.
Okay, all right. Talk to you soon, man.